Hello, everyone. It's Victor speaking. And today I'm here with your third house interpretation. So, this video is the continuation of my house series I started a few days ago. We explored the meaning of the second house, and now the third house is on our plate for today. So, we said that the baby is born with the first house, and in the second house is all about eating and sleeping. And now we get to the stage where the baby is exploring their neighborhood. So they become curious and they want to touch everything. They will chew on everything. They even start crawling and then eventually walking. So this is the house of curiosity. They want to gain information. They will start learning about things, what surrounds them. No wonder why the third house rules anything which is about commuting, learning, communication, and even walking. Third house is every form of communication, including phone calls, letters, text messages, and even vibrators. And yes, vibrators, as it makes your nerves to communicate with your brain. The house of information, this is information you gather. This is all about picking up the knowledge and then utilizing it. So reading, writing skills will be seen from this house also. The people we talk to on an everyday level also ruled by the third house, such as the butcher, the shop assistant, the primary school teachers, your neighbors, and so forth. So this is the house of exchanging information. So even rumors and gossips also fall under this segment of the chart as well. Um, what you hear and what you tell other people, that's your own truth. And obviously, that truth needs to be looked at from a different perspective as well. So, the third house is the moon's favorite placement. I won't go into details of the whys today. I have already made a webinar on planets in their favorite houses, which is called Planetary Joy. And it might help you understand this concept if you sign up for it. But moon represents the queen, and the sun rejoices in the ninth house, which is the house of gods. So the third house is very much about verbalizing the messages given by the gods. So in many cases, watery planets in the third house can actually indicate spiritual inclination. The third house rules over your mind and your intellect. It reveals how you approach and analyze problems and how you perceive information. Other endeavors covered here are the drafting of contracts and agreements, presentations and ideas and proposals, even commerce, including sales, marketing, public relations, and self promotion as well. Now, I would like to mention in regards to the contract bit that this is not necessarily about when we sign a contract with others. This is the shape and form of the contract. So, is there any spelling mistake in it? Does the shape of my CV suitable for that job, and so forth? Another meaning of the third house is transportation. So buses, trams, trains, and so forth. Even the dating website belongs here as well, because you are communicating with others. Now, the second stage of the third house is around the age of 13-ish. And that's when we going to be, you know, start thinking about more serious things. So one way to view the third house is to see it as an element of the school years. In those years, you learn to write and read, you learn to sit in a classroom and take part in social structure. So in a sense, the third house pretty much talks about how much you are able to follow rules as well. So, and then you're going to progress into going to different places, such on your own, such as to your neighbor, to school, without your mom and dad driving you, for instance. This is, in my opinion, the house of friends as well, people who are quite close to you, but especially those long-term friendships, such as the ones which comes from the school years. So you're going to be going places with your friends. You do some shopping, then you do activities after school, and you're going to start running some errands as well for your own family. So the third house, which is, by the way, known as a cadent house. Now, cadent house derives from the Latin cadere, meaning to fall away. So the cadent houses are where we fall away from the game plans we initiated in the cardinal houses and stabilized in the succeeding houses. So any planet here, apart from the moon, fall from power. The third house in traditional astrology represents the lower mind. It is the everyday, common and practical type of thinking. The sign on the cusp describes your normal way of thinking and your learning style. So, for instance, if you have got fire there, it might indicate that you are learning quite quickly on your own, especially if it is fun for you as well. Earth signs likes to learn practical things, and they are interested in the mechanical skills, the mechanical, process. The air signs love to learn for the learning's sake, and they are very objective thinkers. And water learns what she can, or what they can relate to emotionally. So, for instance, through music and song. This is a Gemini and a Mercury territory, which is so much to do with mathematics or cosmic rhythms. So, if you have got, for instance, Mercury in here in a water sign, actually you can excel in these type of fields. So, for example, let's suppose that you've got Scorpio on the third house cusp with the moon in it. And moon is all about the past and your memories. So, for instance, it's going to be someone who can remember everything and everyone who ever hurt their feelings, because Scorpio is the sign of betrayal. And it could show that you might hold grudges against people, or you have got some resentment towards them. But it also could indicate that someone who is talking from their emotional experiences, and maybe they want to be stirring yours up as well. It might also indicate that someone who might enjoy a heated discussion as well. So the third house is also your sisters and brothers, neighbors, people in your town, and it represents trade and commerce. Short distance travel these days, short distance travels belong here as well. And these days is generally travel within one's own country, or maybe just visiting a neighboring nations just across the border. Our biases and prejudice are also rooted in the third house. So while once you had to think through and work out a problem or a process, it later becomes your second nature, your unconscious. So the thought pattern has been filled in with memory, like a memory bank, and maybe it's expressed through your emotional reactions. So, why I want the best car, for instance, or why is it important for me to own money? So any type of, why do you think it's important? In medical astrology, the third house will signify your arms, and the arms is something which is assisting you in your everyday life. It represents the shoulders, and the shoulder actually gives enough power and strength to the arms, but also rules the respiratory and the nervous system as well. And the respiratory system is required to get correct amount of oxygen in your body. And the nervous system role is to pass these electric signals to your body, which is of course controlled by your brain. And also it rules your neck as well. Now, the term meanings of the third house. So this is the sixth sign from the 10th. So it could indicate the mom's illness. This house is the 12th from the 4th. So it could indicate your father's addictions and the losses your father might need to go through. This is the 5th from the 11th. So this is the 11th from the 5th. So your children's friends. But also it could talk about your spouse educational level, because the 9th from the 7th, it could talk about your grandchild's partner. So the husband and the wife of your grandchildren, because that's the 7th from the 9th, and the 9th house was grandchildren. But also could talk about your friend's children, because the 5th from the 11th, as well as the earnings of your child. So the third house in astrology is about your left brain. So it governs fact gathering, analysis, forming opinions about your experiences, and basically the way you think. So the signs and the planets in the third house reveals what your experiences in school were like. So it could look into your learning, revealing how you learn best, or your study habits, the way you think. So the questions the third house is going to kind of answer you if you really dig into it deeper. Then it's going to tell you whether you think quickly, slowly, logically, or analytically, or what does knowledge mean to you? How do you see your immediate environment? How do you relate with your family? And what's your communication style? So let's have a look at an example. Let's suppose that you've got Saturn in the third house. So what can this tell us about you? So we might say that you see the world around you as being somewhat restrictive and cold. Saturn is the blockages, the restrictions. It's a cold and dry planet. You might not feel safe to take a carefree approach to life. You may have problems with relatives, or feel like they are cold and distant towards you. Maybe schools presented a challenge for you, and you may have struggled to get good grades, for instance, or actually you might have had a fear of taking exams. It might indicate that you might be more comfortable of staying at home rather than venturing out, even when it comes to a short trip. So, and by the way, I would also mention that the third house, which just popped to my mind, is that this is the house of courses, but courses which don't give you like a degree level. So, for instance, if you are going to want to learn how to drive a car, and then you need to do a theory course on it, then this is the third house. Or even some language courses, which does not give you any type of qualification. All those are ruled by the third house. Well, I hope this helps you to dive into your third house a little bit more. So I let you do that and let me know what your third house tell you about yourself. Thank you very much and have a blessed week, everyone. Bye-bye.